As luck would have it, I've found myself dropped into the kind of story women supposedly adore. The kind the internet always warns men about. A world where even Zeus or the Archangel Michael would end up beaten down. A place where divorce could strip a titan of industry of half his empire. That thought alone made my blood run cold, but I'd managed to flip the script. Instead of being the long-suffering hero, I was turning into the villain. And this wasn't a tearjerker anymore. It was a revenge story. The plot had just hit the point where my wife's old flame, the one who got away, turned to the country. By chance, I picked up my wife's phone instead of mine and saw the Instagram story she'd hidden from me. A picture of her with him, a cozy selfie captioned, "Welcome back. Tonight was on me." In the comments, someone had written, well, Isabella, a date night with Connor Hayes. She'd replied with a smiling emoji. Laugh it up? I thought, bitterness burning in my throat. I clicked. Her profile glutton for punishment, Tan scrolled through post after post she'd made invisible to me. A fire lit inside me, hot and angry. Maybe I was just a character in a book, but right now I was the one being played for a fool. The humiliation was real, burning like a brand across my forehead for the world to see. Grinding my teeth, I opened. Their DMIs, thankfully. Nothing explicit, just playful, flirty banter. Right then, the bathroom door lock clicked. I took a breath, set the phone back exactly where I found it, my fingers trembling with rage and disbelief. "Ethan, honey, can you come blow dry my hair?" Isabella called out. She stepped into the bedroom in a sheer black nightgown, her damp hair clinging to her, her body outlined by the lamplight. My throat went dry. The woman had legs for days, legs I couldn't stop staring at. She frowned, impatience flashing across her face. "Hurry up, Ethan, I'm tired. I just dry my hair so I can go to sleep." The nerve of her ordering me around. After what I'd just seen, fine. If she wanted to play games, I'd happily join in. "Of course, honey," I said, my voice sweet with false cheer. As I walked behind her, I gave her a firm smack on the ass. Electricity shot through me. She jumped, eyes wide. "Oh, what are you doing?" A wicked grin spread across my face. "What do you think I'm doing?" I gasped, spinning around. Her wet hair whipping across my face, cool and scented with roses. "Are you insane?" Her eyes were full of shock. In 3 years of marriage, I'd never once been this bold. My grip on the hairdryer tightened, the fire in my chest blazing. Divorce was already looming on the horizon. Might as well take some interest back on the poor fool's life I'd ended up living. I slid my arm around her waist and kissed her hard. "Just a little husbandly affection," I murmured, my thumb tracing the drops of water on her collarbone. As I expected, her ears flushed pink. In the original story, this Ice Queen wife always used work as an excuse to dodge intimacy. Now I knew why. She'd been saving herself for her long-lost love. The true protagonist of this tale was built different, his stamina unmatched. We ran the engine hot until dawn. Pushing the limits all night long, I polished the headlights until they gleamed, buffed the finish, until it begged to be touched. Looking at this gorgeous machine that wouldn't be mine for much longer, I couldn't resist taking it for one last spin. Amid the roar of the engine, Isabella's hoarse cries filled. The air complaining the speed was too much, to thrilling her eyes wet with tears. My fingers tangled in her hair, and I felt her tremble. Interesting. So the untouchable Ice Queen could feel fear? After the wild ride ended, I parked, cut the engine, and silence fell. The room was so quiet I could hear her heart hammering as morning light slipped through the curtains. Isabella turned away, fumbling with the clasp of her bra. Faint imprints of my fingers still marked the small of her back, delicate as ink on rice paper. "I'm going to my college reunion tonight," she said suddenly, her voice lighter than the birds chirping outside. I stretched lazily, pretending I hadn't heard. What was that? When she turned, her usual haughty mask was back, her red nails tapped against the vanity. "My college reunion is tonight. I won't be home for dinner." In the book, this conversation was supposed to happen yesterday. Tonight, Isabella would go to that reunion, and after too much alcohol and a game of truth or dare, things would escalate. The original me, worried about her drinking, would show up early, to take her home only to find her and Connor locked in a passionate kiss. "It's on my way," I said casually. "I'll give you a ride after work." Her hand paused mid-lipstick froze. In the mirror, panic flickered across her eyes. "You don't have to. Jen is picking me up." My gaze slid to the silk nightgown on the floor, torn to shreds. I nodded. "All right. Be safe tonight, Dan. Don't drink too much." That evening, I arrived at the private club right on schedule. The 2 bodyguards I brought with me took positions on either side of the suite's door, silent and imposing. A waiter approached. "Sir, I'm sorry, but the guests inside have requested not to be disturbed." I leveled him with a cold stare. "My wife is in there. Does that rule still apply?" He froze, the authority radiating off me, cutting straight. Through him, he swallowed hard. "My apologies, sir. Perhaps you could call your wife and have her meet you out here." I pulled a crisp $500 bill from my wallet. "Get lost," I said quietly. His eyes widened at the cash. He snatched it fast. "Right away, sir. I'll get lost immediately." As he walked off, I heard him mutter under his breath, "Rich guys and their quirks. Shows up with bodyguards. It's not like I could stop him from kicking the door in any way. Son of a..." He thought I was a fool. The moment I pushed the door open, a wall of deafening music slammed into me. My face remained blank as I scanned the room. The lights were dim, but I spotted Isabella instantly. She wore a chic white pantsuit paired with my favorite black silk stockings. Connor Hayes lounged beside her, his arm draped casually across her shoulder. They leaned in close, laughing, talking in low voices beneath the pulsing lights. I pulled out my phone and started recording, zooming in for close-ups. The flash went off like a gunshot. The room froze in silence. Then a voice cut through. "Hey man, party's a party," but no flash. "Keep the drama off the internet." Isabella jerked away from Connor like she'd been burned. Her wide eyes locked on my silhouette, my phone still raised. Ethan. I calmly slid my phone into my pocket, my dress shoes crunching on confetti. Scattered across the floor. Haha. My apologies, everyone. Didn't mean to ruin the mood. I gestured lightly. "Please, carry on. I'm just here to pick up Isabella. Looks like I came a little early." The quiet lingered heavy until Connor suddenly laughed. He stood swirling his glass of red wine, tie loosened around his neck. "You must be Isabella's husband, right? Care to join us for a round of truth or dare?" "I'd love to," I said, a slow smile spreading across my face. I unbuttoned my suit jacket, sat down, and picked up the dice shaker, ignoring the shocked stares. "But I should warn you, I'm a sore loser. Don't blame me if I ruin the party." The rattle of the dice against the felt table sounded louder than it should have. Connor slid a shot of whiskey toward me, a challenge burning in his eyes. Loser either drinks or answers a question. I noticed Isabella tugging at his sleeve under the table. I smirked, pushing the glass back. "Drinking is boring. Questions are much more interesting." The room erupted in cheers and laughter. Isabella lost the very first round. Jenna, who never missed a chance to stir drama, leaned forward. "If Connor had never moved abroad, would you have married him?" Light from the chandelier caught on Isabella's lashes. She hesitated, glancing at me, then at Connor. "Yes," she said. The room exploded with noise. Faces full of malicious delight turned toward me. They expected me to storm out, humiliated. That was who I'd always been to them, the fool who loved Isabella so much he'd swallow any insult, waited home for scraps of comfort, and come crawling back wagging his tail. But I felt different tonight. More imposing. I didn't see it yet. "Well, what a touching love story," I said, swirling the ice in my glass. My eyes on them with playful contempt. "Makes you think I should just get out of the way and let you to be happy, doesn't it?" The chatter died instantly. Everyone stared at me, then at Isabella, their faces a mix of confusion and shock. Isabella sobered up in an instant. She jumped to her feet, knocking her wine glass over. Red liquid spread across the tablecloth like a bloodstain. Her eyes were wide, stunned. How could I speak like that? especially after she'd so graciously let me have my way with her all night. Jenna quickly stood, trying to smooth things over. Ethan, it's just a game. Don't take it so seriously. You know how Isabella gets when she drinks? She talks nonsense. She forced a laugh. Besides, everyone knows you're the one she loves. I'll apologize, or you'll be sleeping on the couch tonight. Connor stood too. Yeah, Ethan, don't be so sensitive. It was just a joke. He shrugged. She was teasing me because I just got back. It's ancient history. I let out a short, sharp laugh, my knuckles rapping on the marble tabletop. Relax. Relax. I can take a joke. My eyes narrowed. Everyone knows you two were a thing in college. In fact, I should thank you, Connor. If you hadn't left the country, her first time wouldn't have been with me, would it? Connor slammed his dice shaker onto the table. Wine splashed across his shirt. Its glare was cold, his voice low and dangerous. You'd do well to remember that. But now I'm back. The room froze. Isabella's face went pale. I slowly undid my cufflinks, then grabbed a wine bottle and smashed it over Connor's head. The sound of glass shattering felt like the universe had paused. A moment later, wine and blood streamed down his forehead, and the screaming started. Ethan, are you insane? Isabella shrieked, clutching my arm, her nails digging deep. I shook her off. Just collecting a little interest, I said calmly. This bastard comes back to town and immediately starts hitting on my wife. Did you really think I'd just sit back and take it? Isabella's face twisted in rage. Ethan, what the hell are you talking about? She screamed, pointing a trembling finger at me. There's nothing going on between me and Connor. How dare you accuse me? I glanced at Connor, who was being helped up, then wiped my face and kicked him square in the chest, sending him sprawling again. Nothing going on? I turned and slapped Isabella across the face. You post pictures with him on your close friends list, blocking me from seeing them, and you dare say nothing's going on? You've got the nerve to share those cozy pictures, but not the guts to admit it. She staggered back, clutching her cheek, her heels crunching on broken glass. Ethan, she screamed, her voice raw, you hit me. Her eyes were wide with fury and shock. You get on your knees and apologize to me right now, then apologize to Connor. If you don't, I'm calling the police and you're finished. Apologize? I laughed. If it weren't for the money I'd lose in a divorce, I'd have walked out already. Go ahead, call them. I straightened my tie and opened the suite door. My 2 bodyguards stepped inside. I gestured coldly at the stunned partygoers. Do any of you know who I am? The name Blackwood. If anyone here took pictures or videos tonight, delete them. Every last one. Unless you want to learn the hard way that the Blackwood family is not to be trifled with. I turned back to Isabella. Call the police. I'm waiting. Let's see who in this city dares meddle in my family's affairs. A wave of pure satisfaction surged through me. This wasn't the protagonist anymore. This was the villain. The room was dead silent, frozen under the weight of my threat. Isabella's hand shook as she tried to unlock her phone, her red-polished fingertips swiping again and again without success. What's the matter, second thoughts? Sneered, pulling my own phone from my jacket. Should I call for you, Ethan? She shrieked, lunging for my phone. Are you insane? Do you have to make such an ugly scene? Stepped aside icily, catching her by the wrist. Ugly? I leaned close, my voice low enough for only her to hear. You didn't think it was ugly when you told a room full of people you wished. You'd married another man. We just spent all last night together and you're already trying to trade up. Her pupils shrank, her lips trembling. She was speechless. She had never seen this side of me before, and it terrified her. Connor staggered to his feet, blood still running from the cut on his forehead. He stumbled toward us. Ethan let her go. If you've got a problem, take it up with me. Well, Lou all heard him, I said to the room. Told me to take it up with him. I've never heard such a desperate request. With a flick of my wrist, my bodyguard seized Connor and began pounding him with heavy, methodical punches. No, stop, Ethan, Isabella cried, clawing at my arm. Please, let him go. Begging you. Does it hurt to watch? Asked, grabbing her chin and forcing her to face him. Last night, when you were screaming my name, were you secretly thinking of him? The question hit like a bomb. Few women in the room blushed and covered their mouths. Isabella's face turned crimson as tears streaked down her cheeks. Ethan, you're a bastard. I'm a bastard. I let her go, calmly adjusting my cuffs. Tell me, Isabella, who cooks your dinner every night? Who stays up when you're sick? Who takes care of you when you've got a fever? With each question, I stepped forward, and she backed away until her shoulders hit the wall. Now your old flame is back. You can't wait to jump into his arms. I reached out and wiped a tear from her cheek, my voice ice cold. You make me sick. Her lips shook, her makeup smearing with her tears. It's not like that. Not like what? You didn't deliberately hide your Instagram stories from me? You weren't cozying up with Connor at the reunion? I shook my head. Isabella, I gave you a chance. Didn't I swear? She sobbed, shaking her head frantically. We're just friends now. I only hid the story because I didn't want you to get the wrong idea. The suite door burst open. The club manager rushed in with security. What's going on here? Who's causing trouble? His eyes found me. Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Get out, I said without looking at him. The manager's face hardened, but before he could speak again, one of my men stepped forward and flashed his credentials. The manager's expression drained of color. He bowed repeatedly and backed out, shutting the door behind him. Silence fell. Again, broken only by Isabella's choking sobs, I lit a cigarette, the smoke curling lazily into the air. Connor groaned on the floor. It was almost funny. Ethan. Isabella suddenly grabbed at my jacket. Can we please just go home and talk about this? I tapped ash into the wine glass and laughed. Home, sure. My place or Connor's? Her nails dug into my arm, her voice breaking with tears. Do you have to humiliate me like this? I shook her hand off, crushing the cigarette out, and... Connor's drink? Humiliate you? Isabella? You even worthy of it? The room held its breath. Jenna started to step forward, but froze when my eyes landed on her. From now on, you're moving out of the master bedroom, I said flatly. I pulled out my phone and dialed. Mr. Davis. Prepare the divorce papers. Isabella lunged at me. No, I won't sign anything. I caught her wrist easily, whispering in her ear. Did you really think I'd keep a woman with another man? Living in her heart? Connor, bloodied and dazed, forced himself up. Ethan let her go. He was trying to play the hero, trying to cement himself as the good guy. I laughed coldly and signaled my men to release him. You like picking up my leftovers that much, Connor? Fine, she's all yours. Isabella trembled with rage and swung. Her hand to slap me? I caught her wrist and with a sharp flick, struck her across the face. She crumpled to the floor like a broken doll, sobbing uncontrollably. I straightened my suit jacket and walked toward the door without glancing back. Ethan. She screamed behind me. You'll regret this. I stopped at the doorway, turned, and gave her a cruel smile. By the way, I forgot to mention, if you're not home tonight, my eyes hardened. I'll start with your family. Then I swept my gaze over the rest of the room. And as for the rest of you, if a single word of what happened here gets out, you'll all answer to me. With that, I pushed the heavy door closed behind me, shutting out the sound of her cries. The nerve of that guy. Thinking he could touch my wife, I muttered as I exited the restroom, ain't brushing my hands off. Mr. Blackwood, one of my bodyguards, spoke. Should we arrange for someone to deal with him? Hayes, no need, I said, pausing. A smirk tugged at my lips. I'm not a complete monster. Send Scarface. Thailand. Tell him to get a full makeover. I hear the surgeons there are artists. At 3 a.m, the door to the master bedroom creaked open. Isabella stood barefoot in the doorway, still wearing the same pantsuit from the reunion, her black stockings ripped in several places. Ethan, her voice was a broken whisper. Can we talk? I didn't turn on the light. The moonlight stretched her shadow long and thin across the floor. She walked slowly toward the bed before kneeling suddenly, wrapping her arms around my legs. I knew what had happened after I left. She'd taken Connor to the hospital, stayed through the tests, then rushed home. I also knew Connor had tried to hug her as she left and she had pushed him away? I was wrong, she sobbed. I was so wrong. Her tears soaked through my pajama pants, their warmth reminding me of last night. I tilted her chin up, brushing my thumb against the red. Marks still burning on her cheek. Did Connor drive you home? She flinched and shook her head frantically. No, I took an Uber. Then she lunged at me, tearing at my clothes, pressing frantic kisses against my skin. I pinned her wrists to the headboard. She only pressed closer, moving against me, a silent, desperate plea. Pathetic, aren't you? I murmured, squeezing the soft flesh of her thigh. Cry over the man you wish you had, then crawl back to me at night. She whimpered, blouse straining until buttons popped loose. The next morning, Isabella did something she hadn't done in years. She made me oatmeal. Ethan, she said quietly, watching me with nervous eyes. My dad's birthday is next week. Will you come with me? I stirred the oatmeal, a small smile curling on my lips. We're getting a divorce. Why would I go? Her spoon slipped from her hand, clattering into the bowl and splashing milk onto her beige loungewear. Divorce, she whispered. Ethan, please, let's not get a divorce. I set my spoon down and slowly wiped my mouth with a napkin. Her fingers twisted tightly together in her lap, knuckles turning white. No divorce? I chuckled darkly. So I should just keep walking around knowing my wife is cheating on me? Her head shot up. I didn't cheat on you. I never slept with him. I slammed my palm on the table. You were cheating in your head. That's still cheating. Or are there different shades of betrayal I don't know about? Her face drained of color. I stood, walked behind her, and leaned down close to her ear. I want to divorce you, Isabella. But I don't plan on giving you a dime. You know what you have to do, don't you? If you agree to walk away with nothing, the business between, the Blackwood family and yours will continue. Otherwise, I won't be so generous. Her eyelashes fluttered violently. Ethan. She suddenly threw her arms around my waist. I swear I'll never see Connor again. I'll block him, delete his number, everything. I pried her fingers off me. Too late, I whispered. As if on cue, her phone buzzed on the table, Connor's name flashing across the screen. Isabella lunged for it like it was on fire, but not before I saw the dozen unread messages stacked on her lock screen. Looks like your old flame is getting anxious. The phone slipped from her grasp and hit the rug. She bent to pick it up, but I stepped on it. Ethan. She looked up at me, her lashes still wet with tears. Let me explain. I bent down, picked up the phone, and unlocked it with her fingerprint. The last message from Connor was right there. Izzy, I'm not feeling well. Can you come over and check on me? I raised an eyebrow at her. Well, look at that. The one that got away isn't feeling well, shamelessly asking another man's wife for a private visit. I tossed the phone back and turned toward the closet. Behind me, I heard her frantic footsteps. Ethan, I'll block him right now. Look. Her fingers fumbled with the screen, her nails scratching against the glass. I adjusted my tie in the mirror, watching her trembling reflection. Too late. Those two words made her shoulders collapse. Ethan. She rushed forward, wrapping her arms around me from behind, her tears soaking through my shirt. I know I was wrong. Please, just give me one more chance. I turned, gripping her chin, forcing her eyes to mine. A chance? You know what I hate most, Isabella? Your hypocrisy. You want your perfect past and your comfortable present at the same time? Her pupils dilated, tears spilling. I released her and pulled a document from the drawer, tossing it. Onto the bed. Sign it. Let's end this clean. Her hands shook as she picked it up. When she read the words, waive all rights to marital assets, her face went pale. You really want me to leave with nothing? What else? Fastened. My cufflinks. You expect me to give you half my fortune? Her knuckles whitened around the papers. These 3 years. Did they mean nothing to you? I bent down, my lips near her ear. Oh, they meant something. You're beautiful. Your body's perfect. I'll miss that. But now you're flawed. She screamed and tore the divorce papers to shreds, the pieces falling like snow. Let you, Ethan? She cried, grabbing my tie. After 3 years of marriage, do you think I'm just some toy you can throw away? I let her fight until she crumpled to the floor. Then what do you want? I crouched in front of her. To stay, Mrs. Blackwood, she gasped, her nails scratching the floor. I can sign a fidelity clause. If I ever contact Connor again, I'll walk away with nothing, I swear. I laughed, wiping her smudged eyeliner with my thumb. Isabella, when did you become so pathetic? Her body stiffened, but she clung tighter. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Because I realized, I think I'm actually in love with you. I froze. In the original story, she never said that, not even at the end. Oh, I dragged out the word. And what about Connor? Her eyes darted away. That was just a teenage fantasy. A memory. I buttoned my suit jacket and headed for the door. You have 3 days to think about it. Sign the papers, or... I glanced back at her. I'll make sure your family's business disappears. Later that day in the boardroom, I was buried in quarterly reports when my assistant knocked. Mr. Blackwood, your wife is here to see you. Let her wait, I said without looking up. Through the glass wall, I watched her pacing for 30 minutes before I finally nodded to let her in. Isabella walked in, wearing a simple white dress, her hair loose. Nothing like her usual polished self. Ethan. She set a thermos on my desk. I made you some soup. I closed the file and looked at her swollen eyelids. Have you made up your mind? She bit her lip, nodded, and pulled the signed agreement from her purse. I'll sign, but I have one condition. I raised an eyebrow. Don't make me leave, she whispered, her fingers twisting the fabric of her dress. I love you. Please, just let me stay by your side. Even if I'm not your wife anymore, it doesn't matter. I stared at her, trembling. Eyelashes for a long moment, then laughed. Isabella, do you really think this is touching? The soup in the thermos was still steaming. It's filled with goji berries floating in the milky broth just like her wavering heart. I'm serious. She insisted. I spun my pen slowly, tapping the tip against the divorce papers. You know what you look like right now? Dog that got kicked, but still comes back, wagging its tail. The blood drained from her face. In the reflection of the floor-to-ceiling window, I saw her swaying on her feet. I stood, walked over, and yanked open the collar of her dress. You say you love me, but what about this? My fingertip pressed hard against the bruise on her. Collarbone, were you thinking about Connor last night? No, she gasped, her eyes glistening. I wasn't. I was thinking only of you. Her hands moved to my belt buckle as she spoke. The sun was already high, and by the time we were finished, it was late afternoon. I was starving. She fed me the goji berry soup, mouthful by mouthful from her lips. Finally, I gave in to her request. After all, her beauty was still incredibly hard to resist. A month later, 4 bodyguards escorted a visitor into my office. Connor Hayesfresh from an extended stay in Thailand. Except I shouldn't call him Connor anymore. It was Connie now. She had always been handsome, but the transformation was stunning. She was beautiful. She bared her teeth at me, her face a mask of rage. Ethan, you animal. Her voice was higher now, feminine, but the hatred in it was as sharp as ever. I leaned back in my leather chair, amused. What's the matter? Not happy with the new career path I arranged for you? I gestured at the modeling contract on the table. $50,000 a month. Better than your old junior manager's salary. Connie trembled with fury, her manicured nails digging into her palms. I'm going to sue you. I'll see you in prison. Laughed, and had a bodyguard hand her a business card. It's my lawyer's number. Give it your best shot, but if you lose, there will be consequences. The color drained from her face. Satisfied, I stood and adjusted my cuffs. Be a good little model, Connie, and stay out of my life. She collapsed onto the floor, boneless. I waved for the bodyguards to escort her out. That evening, when I got home, Isabella was busy in the kitchen. Since that incident, she had quit her job to become a full-time housewife. Honey, you're home, she chirped, running over in her apron to kiss my cheek. I squeezed her face lightly. You're in a good mood. She blushed and looked down. I made an appointment with a therapist. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, I want. She twisted her fingers nervously. To fix our marriage. I studied her for a few seconds, then smiled. Come here, I want to show you something. Pulling out my phone, I showed her pictures of Connie. The screen revealed the once campus heartthrob, now a bombshell. Isabella's eyes went wide. The spatula in her hand clattered too. The floor is that the one that got away? I tilted her chin up, my voice dripping with sentiment. Yes, her eyelashes trembled, but she shook her head firmly. He deserved it. Her answer pleased me. I stroked her swollen lips as a reward. Good girl. That night Isabella was unusually obedient. She wore the black lace lingerie I'd chosen for her and knelt by the bed, towel drying my hair. When a drop of water trickled down my abs, I heard her breath catch. Ethan, she whispered, leaning close to my ear. Let's have a baby, I paused. In the past, she'd been militant about birth control, terrified of being tied down by a child. What's this? I pulled her onto my lap. Trying to save the marriage with a baby. She wrapped her arms around my neck, her soft chest pressed against me. I want to have a baby that looks just like you. The moonlight traced shifting shadows across her face, and suddenly I remembered the miscarriage from the original story. All right, I said with a small smile, as I loosened the ribbon of her silk robe. But first, I need to make sure you're... My fingers slid lower, deliberate and cruel. Clean. Her body tensed for a moment, then she pressed herself against me even more eagerly. Only for you, she whispered. It's only ever been you. Later, Isabella's medical report lay on my desk. Everything pointed to perfect health. On the last page, though, she had drawn a tiny heart in the corner. She was getting better at this game, Ethan, she sang softly as she entered my study. Carrying a plate of fruit, she picked up a piece of cantaloupe and held it to my lips. Our anniversary is this weekend. What do you want as a gift? I bit into the fruit and pulled her onto my lap. You decide. My fingers played with the ends of her hair. You're being awfully sweet. Are you trying to get something from me? Her ears turned red, though she tried to sound indignant. Of course not. I cut her off by pressing her down against the desk, sending pens and papers scattering. Meanwhile, Connie Hayes was still trying to get her revenge. She had underestimated the sheer power of the Blackwood family. She filmed a tearful video accusing me of all sorts of crimes. But before she even finished, the video disappeared from the internet. The brief buzz it caused was quickly buried. Under bigger scandals, a famous actress's secret child, a movie star's affairs. The world moved on. Since Connie had broken our agreement, I kept my word. That night she was taken to a villa on the edge of town. I made sure 3 very large, very unfriendly men were there to welcome her. When Isabella found out, panic filled her face. Ethan, isn't that too cruel? I pinched her cheek and smiled. Cruel? It's just a lesson. Don't tell me you actually feel sorry for her. She smiled back, her eyes shining like stars. It's what she deserves. She chose to go. Against you? That surprised me. In the original story, she spent years torturing the main character over this man. I pulled her into my arms. Such a good girl. She settled onto my lap, tracing circles on my collar with her finger. All that nonsense about first loves doesn't matter anymore. Nothing matters as much as the man in front of me. The candlelight flickered across her lashes. I thought about the book's ending, how she had groveled after being let go. What if Connor came back to you right now? I asked, testing her. She froze for a moment, then cupped my face in her hands. The scent of roses filled the air. Ethan, listen. Every day this past month, I've woken up terrified you'd leave me. A tear dropped onto the back of my hand. It wasn't until I saw what happened to him that I understood how merciful you've been to me. Her nails dug into my shoulders. I tightened my grip on her waist. Prove it. Her proof was far more convincing than I ever imagined. The next morning, she dragged her aching body into the kitchen and spent 2 hours cooking breakfast. That's when my bodyguard called Connie had caused a scene at the villa. She never went through with it. Tell her I don't want a repeat performance, I said coldly, and wire her $1 million. Consider it compensation. Just then, Isabella came out carrying a platter of breakfast burritos. Down beside me, her face glowing. "Honey, try these. Tell me if I'm getting better." I took a bite. She'd even added my favorite hot sauce. "It's good," I said. Her eyes lit up. "Really? Really?" I patted her cheek. "Except for when you're thinking about your old flame." She stomped her foot in playful protest. "I told you I'm over him." I silenced her with a kiss. She clung to me. "Ethan, I know I was wrong," she whispered against my lips. "I regret it." "Regret what?" I asked quietly. "That I didn't realize sooner that I was already in love with you. If I had, I can't imagine how happy we could have been. Ethan, can we get married again, please?" I held her chin and studied the redness in her eyes. "Get married again?" chuckled softly. "Do you deserve it?" "Gosh!" Her lashes fluttered like wings caught in the rain. I know I don't," she whispered, clutching my shirt with white knuckles. "But I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you." I let her go and sipped my coffee. It was too sweet, almost cloying, just like her. "Honey," she pressed, curling against my arm, "the biggest regret of my life was almost losing you." I tilted her chin, searching her face. "Your acting has improved." "It's not an act," she insisted, her voice trembling. Cut her off with another kiss, my hands sliding beneath her nightgown. Her cries were louder, more desperate than ever.